They used to say we were inseparable, not because we dressed alike or finished each other's sentences, but because when one of us laughed, the other felt it in their chest. When one of us fell, the other hit the ground too, sometimes harder. We were stitched together by shared nights, shared dreams, shared fear of being ordinary. We didn't know it then, but we were also stitched together by time. And time, eventually, always pulls its threads loose. It began on a night that smelled like rain and neon lights. The city was alive in that restless way it gets when it knows something is about to change. Cars whispered secrets on wet roads. Billboards blinked like tired eyes refusing sleep. We stood on the rooftop of a half-finished building, shoes dusty, hearts loud, staring at a skyline that felt too big for us and yet not big enough for what we wanted. "We'll conquer this place together," you said, your voice shaking with certainty. I believed you, not because the words were perfect, but because you said them like you had already lived the future and were just inviting me to catch up. Back then, our dreams moved at the same speed. Same direction. Same hunger. We talked about success as if it were a destination with our names carved on it. We imagined applause, recognition, money that wouldn't run away from us. We imagined proving everyone wrong. Teachers who doubted us, relatives who laughed softly when we spoke too boldly, friends who settled early and called it maturity. We promised we would never become strangers. The first crack was silent. It didn't come with an argument or a betrayal. It came disguised as growth. You found your rhythm before I did. Opportunities opened for you like doors that recognized your footsteps. You walked into rooms where your name mattered. Your phone buzzed constantly, glowing with messages that carried urgency and praise. You started speaking in a new language, deadlines, networks, projections, leverage. I cheered for you. Loudly. Honestly. But sometimes, when I clapped, my hands felt heavy. I was still searching. Still experimenting. Still failing in private while you succeeded in public. While your life accelerated, mine felt like it was buffering. People began to mention your name with admiration, then look at me with expectation, as if waiting for my own announcement. "You're next," they said. But next can be a cruel word when you don't know where the line even starts. We still met, still laughed, still shared memories like inside jokes no one else understood. Yet something had shifted. Our conversations began to stretch thin, like fabric pulled too tight. You spoke about where you were going. I spoke about where I hoped to go. Hope and arrival don't always speak the same dialect. One evening, we sat across from each other in a cafe that used to be our favorite. The walls were the same, the menu unchanged, but it felt like we were visiting a childhood home after years away. Everything familiar, yet distant. "You should come with me," you said, excitement lighting your eyes. "There's space for you. You just need to adjust a little." Adjust. The word landed between us like a fragile glass. Adjusting meant reshaping myself to fit into a world I hadn't earned yet. Adjusting meant following your shadow, hoping the light would spill over onto me. I smiled and said, "I'll think about it." That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and realized something terrifying. Wanting the same dream didn't mean walking the same path. And walking your path might slowly erase mine. Distance didn't announce itself. It crept in. Missed calls. Shorter replies. "I'm busy," replacing long conversations. Your world demanded more of you, and mine demanded patience from me. We stopped updating each other on the small things, the random thoughts, the fears whispered at 2 a.m., the half-formed ideas that used to excite us. Then came the moment that broke the illusion. It was at an event filled with bright lights and louder egos. You were on stage, confident, polished, magnetic. The crowd leaned into your words, hungry for inspiration. I stood in the back, clapping with everyone else, pride and ache fighting inside my chest. For a split second, our eyes met. You smiled, and I realized that while I was still proud of you, I no longer recognized myself standing beside you. I felt like a memory in your success story, a footnote to your journey forward. That night, surrounded by noise, I felt painfully alone. We argued later. Not dramatically, not loudly, but quietly, which somehow hurt more. "You've changed," I said. "So have you," you replied. "You're holding yourself back." The words were sharp because they were half true. I was afraid of failing publicly, afraid of leaving what was familiar, afraid of becoming someone I didn't recognize just to keep up. You don't need me like before, I said, my voice steady but my hands trembling. You didn't deny it. That was the worst part. Silence replaced promises. Space replaced closeness. We didn't end. We drifted. Growing apart isn't explosive. It's slow. It's realizing you no longer reach for your phone instinctively. It's understanding that love and alignment are not the same thing. It's learning that some people walk with you to the edge of your becoming, then stop. The hardest season came after. Without you, I had no mirror, no familiar reflection to measure myself against. For a while, I felt invisible, untethered, as if I had lost not just a person, but a version of myself that existed only in relation to you. But something unexpected happened in the quiet. I started listening to my own voice. I explored ideas I had ignored, took risks that scared me because no one was watching, no one was comparing. I failed again, but this time, the failures felt personal in the right way. They taught me what fit and what didn't. They carved space for authenticity. Loneliness taught me discipline. Silence taught me clarity. While you shined in rooms full of people, I learned to shine alone, in empty spaces where no applause reached. I learned that progress doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it looks like consistency when no one is clapping. Months passed, then years. I heard about you through mutual circles, bigger projects, bigger stages. Your name carried weight. I smiled when I heard it, genuinely. There was no bitterness left, only respect and distance. Then fate, with its cruel sense of timing, brought us together again. It was an ordinary afternoon. Same city, different versions of us. We sat across from each other, older, calmer, less desperate to be understood. The air between us was softer now, no longer heavy with expectations. You look grounded, you said. So do you, I replied. We talked about life, not dreams. About lessons, not goals. About who we had become, rather than who we wanted to be. I used to think growing apart meant failing, you admitted. Now I see it saved us. I nodded. Because if we had forced alignment, we would have broken each other. We didn't promise to reconnect. We didn't promise anything at all. And that was enough. As we parted ways, I realized something profound. Some people are not meant to stay, but they are meant to shape you. They ignite you, challenge you, then release you into your own light. That night, walking alone under streetlights that hummed like distant stars, I felt complete. Not because I had everything figured out, but because I no longer needed to be seen to exist. Growing apart didn't dim us. It allowed us to shine. Separately, honestly, fully. Before the silence became obvious, shining alone is the bravest how to wear our faces. There was a season where everything still looked the same, yet felt strangely unfamiliar. That's the part people never talk about. The phase where nothing is officially broken, but nothing is fully right either. We were still together in photos, still tagged each other in memories, still laughed loudly in public. But somewhere between those smiles, something fragile was thinning out, like air at high altitude, breathable but barely. It started with mornings. We used to wake up hungry for the same future. Now, you woke up to calendars filled with meetings and confirmations. I woke up to notebooks filled with ideas that hadn't found believers yet. You moved fast, like time was chasing you. I moved carefully, like time was testing me. And slowly, our pace stopped matching. One morning, I watched you from across the room while you spoke on the phone, your voice confident, your body relaxed in success. You were winning in real time. I should have felt inspired. Instead, I felt late. Not jealous. Not angry. Just late. That feeling stayed with me longer than I expected. The city became our witness. We walked the same streets but noticed different things. You saw opportunities. I saw obstacles disguised as lessons. We ate at the same tables, but our thoughts sat miles apart. I remember one night vividly. We were driving with the windows down, music loud, laughter automatic. The kind of night that used to feel endless. Neon lights blurred past us like dreams rushing by. You were talking about a breakthrough, your voice on fire, hands moving like you were shaping the future midair. I nodded, smiled, encouraged you, but my mind whispered a question I was afraid to ask out loud. Where do I fit in this story now? That question became a shadow that followed me everywhere. I noticed how you stopped asking for my opinion the way you used to. Decisions were already made by the time you told me. Not because you didn't care, but because you no longer needed validation. Independence looks beautiful on people, but it can be painful for those who remember when you leaned on each other equally. We still talked, but the conversations changed texture. Less vulnerability. More updates. Less I'm scared. More I've got it handled. I missed the raw version of us. There was a moment when I tried to catch up, pushing myself harder, saying yes to things I wasn't ready for, forcing progress so I wouldn't feel left behind. I thought speed was the solution. It wasn't. All it did was make me tired and disconnected from myself. One evening, after another long day of pretending I was okay, I sat alone watching the city lights flicker on one by one. Each light belonged to someone's story, someone rising, someone failing, someone starting over. I realized something quietly devastating. I had been measuring my growth using your ruler, and that ruler wasn't built for my journey. The more you shined, the more invisible I felt standing beside you. People started seeing us differently, too. You became the successful one. I became the one with potential. Potential is a polite way of saying not there yet. I laughed it off when people said it, but every word sank deep. Then came the day we almost said everything, but didn't. We were sitting somewhere familiar. The kind of place where memories cling to walls. You were scrolling through your phone, responding to messages that couldn't wait. I stared at my cup, watching steam disappear. "Are you okay?" you asked, without looking up. I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell you that I felt like I was losing you without losing you. That standing next to your growth made me question my worth. That I was proud of you and broken at the same time. But instead I said, "Yeah, just tired." And you nodded, because tired made sense. Tired was easy. That was the night I understood how people grow apart. Not because they stopped caring, but because they stopped being honest at the same time. Distance grew in the unsaid. Days passed. Weeks stacked up. We still existed in each other's orbit, but the gravity was weakening. I began to pull back, not out of spite, but self-preservation. Watching you soar reminded me of my own unfinished wings. I needed space to build them. One afternoon, I chose not to attend something important to you. Not because I didn't support you, but because I couldn't bear feeling like a guest in a life I once helped imagine. That absence said more than any argument could. And for the first time, I didn't chase to explain it. That was growth, too. In the quiet that followed, I discovered something uncomfortable and necessary. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. And not every separation is a loss. Some are a return to yourself. I began doing things alone. Thinking alone. Dreaming without checking if my dreams aligned with yours. It felt lonely at first, like walking without a familiar echo beside me. But slowly, that loneliness turned into clarity. I wasn't behind. I was just on a different timeline. And maybe, just maybe, growing apart wasn't a failure. Maybe it was preparation. Because sometimes, you must step out of someone else's light to discover your own glow. This was only the beginning. And if this story spoke to you, if it reminded you of someone you're slowly drifting from, or a version of yourself you're trying to rediscover, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful, soul-stirring stories like this.